Hello folks, hello to you. Today I'm going to speak about an important matter, runes in a Romanian folkloric culture. They are very revealing. I had some insights contemplating the fact that my ancestors didn't left anything in writing at all. Well, that's what I thought until maybe recently. And this is an important matter actually, guys, because my ancestors, and it's known in my culture, that are on our clothes since Dacic times, since pre-Christian times, my ancestor used to make it a religious ritual to embed in the clothing certain symbols. And here we have hundreds upon hundreds of varieties of those symbols from certain regions of Romania that survived in our folkloric culture since pre-Christian times. So there is a big source for the runic knowledge. There are mainly three sources, or even four, that I identified from a reconstructionist point of view from my culture: Eastern Europe, Romania, Balkans, the Carpathian Mountains, Moldavia, Transylvania. These sources are, one of the most important ones are the symbols on the clothing, which they are heavily embedded with. The symbolism is quite rich and is full of runes actually. The Kalushari rituals that have rituals of Dacian origin since before the Christians, they do the rituals even today, but they don't know what they mean. They do it in a game fashion. They are rituals that were meant to initiate people into the mysteries and many other things, rituals of maturity and whatnot. So, actually, yes, my ancestors didn't left anything in writing, but hey, we have the Kalushari rituals, which are more than you can ask for regarding the writing, and we have the writing on the clothes, and I will get to that right now soon. And also, guys, a major point of interest are our folkloric tales, which abound in hundreds, hundreds upon hundreds. So, with my experience analyzing the kennings in the Edda, looking deeply with a skaldic eye at the Romanian tales, I started to see the kennings in the Romanian tales. And the kennings in the Romanian tales are depicting actual symbols found on clothing and ritual clothing also. It is thought and believed that the Romanian ladies, women who used to make the symbols on the clothing with a red or white or wire. This is interesting. This is very interesting because they had a religious attitude while they were embedding those symbols in. They thought that their hand was guided by the divine. So, this is like a Nornir type of culture. So, in our Romanian culture, we actually had Nornirs, who were old ladies in the villages having the religious function of embedding symbols on clothes, magical symbols on clothing. They also have their own system of divination with core. I will get to that another time. So, let's arrive at the main subject. I will not keep you too much. So, what do we see here, guys? On the right with red, we have the Aries horns, the horns of the Aries. The upper left of the right image, which is a sign of power. If embedded on clothing, it gives extra strength. It has a martial power, a martial vitality to it. So our ancestors, maybe they didn't scratch the runes like the Nordic did, but they embedded it on clothing as ritual, as a ritual function, as a magical function. So we have this bind rune in the upper left made of Uruz runes. And Uruz is connected with the same reality that this symbol is representing here. Then we have the wheel of the sun down in the center, from the center, the left. You don't see my cursor, I don't know why, but I will guide you. So we have the wheel of the sun, which represents the 4 movements of the earth, the 4 seasons. The dot in the center, I have learned that is the earth, that is their depiction of the world, like a dot, like an apple. It was called the red apple at the center of the world. No, the red apple at the center of the earth. And guess what, guys? More than this is coming. The world, the earth, was surrounded by a water called the water of Saturday. Very interesting, because in the Nordic mythology we also have Midgard surrounded by water. It is the same freaking thing. It is the same culture, guys, with slightly different names, approaches, local interpretations. They didn't have internet at that time, okay? But my hypothesis, my theory is that my ancestors, the Christai, the priests of Zalmolxis, actually practiced with these symbols. And it is known that the Solomonari or the Salmani, kind of witch doctors in Christian times that are extinct right now in Romania, they didn't chant normal folkloric spells. They carried hammers or axes of magical nature, hammer of Thor, and they used symbols, which are obviously the runes. Obviously. So what do we have here, guys? On the we have here like a helm of O in lower left, with a Gebo rune attached to it, and a resemblance of Kon or Man runes, but not really. This is like a Kon rune from the Alduruna of Bureus. Very interesting. This is also the Hagal rune in the center of this cross here. This cross is a universal symbol, and we must not apply to it any kind of cultural background. Crosses exist all over the world in all spiritual practices. We have the eye on the lower right, and this is an interesting symbol, guys. I believe it has an astrological meaning, because we have how many spokes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 12 spokes, which relate to the 12 zodiacal signs. 6 are on the left, 6 are on the right. The 6 on the left and the 6 on the right are connected with zodiacal signs of water and earth on the left, and zodiacal signs of air and fire on the right. And the triangle, it's the logos controlling the zodiacal signs, controlling the cosmical order. All right. So look a bit at this. Look a bit at this. On the middle part of this binary rune set, on the right part of the middle part, we have the cross in M. It's called, but they didn't know that maybe that M was an A, like in Ehwaz, with a geto rune inside it. This has a this would be a very powerful binary rune also for certain purposes. Travel, connections, and stuff. In the center we have the geto rune in a circle, which the circle in our culture corresponds with the seasons, but it's also a strengthening symbol overall. And those triangles around the symbol are triangles of protection, and I believe they are actual thorns protecting the divine spark. So on the upper right we have an S rune with an Uruz rune. S with Uruz. These two are known to be healing runes. But actually the S rune is presented also in the first binary rune. So actually the first two runes, the first two binary runes in the upper part of the picture are kind of the same spiritually, with a different accent put on the Willow Rune on the right, and with a different accent a bigger accent put on the Uruz Rune in the left. Powerful variations. Also, I have seen the Kalushari symbol of my ancestors use the symbol Otala for their practices, man. I have seen it made out of leaves and branches live. So those rituals I have seen live, guys. I have seen live rituals of this. Okay. So also, besides the last video in which I made the video about the treasure found near Buzău city, there was another find that I must tell you about in Letscan in Moldavia, near the place, very close to the place where my birth. A spindle, runes made on a spindle. That's pretty interesting. We have again the idea of the Nornil connection. They made runes on a spindle. This is interesting. We will get to that finding and analyze the thing on it, the runes, in probably another video, guys. But look at this. It is more than obvious at this point that my ancestors, the Dacian people, worked with the runes. And I see it more and more as I read the tales, as I reconnect with my folklore, as I reconnect with my background. I see it more and more and more. And it helps a lot because I had experiences from so many areas of spirituality right now until the age of 36, that I see it through the eyes of the initiate. I see certain things that maybe academicians don't see. They also do a great work. But from a spiritual and magical point, there are some things that escape their attention for sure. And maybe it's better like this. Also with the kennings in the Romanian tales, maybe I said too much, okay? But it's good, it's good, it's good. So I promise to be more giving with the information. Well, here it goes. I am. Okay. Bit by bit, I mean. Anyway, so what do we see here on the left image? On the left image, obviously we have some floral images which are pretty normal. We have two intersecting Ingwaz runes. We have an Ingwaz rune on the left down. And you know what's interesting, guys? I know this from people who do not know that these are runes, honestly. They are like academicians, researchers. They don't know that these are runes. And this shape, this rhomb shape, it is connected with fertility. Well, the rune Inguaz, which has the same shape, is connected with the same idea, guys. The rune of Freyr, of fertility. Come on. Also, on the upper right, we have Inguaz and Otala, which is also the fire, the ancestral fire. On the upper right, we have the ancestral fire. The second rune from right, upper, it's like a Willow Rune. And that Willow Rune can also be found again in the rune in the upper right. We have here in the center upper, up center, an intersection of symbols that seem to conserve energy or can be a protective stave. It's a gebo with a closure of twigs. The names written in Romanian below them do not correspond with the reality always of the spiritual nature, because the persons who have wrote those names do not have knowledge of the runes like I do. Those are just people who wanted to explain to themselves in a modern fashion the meaning of the symbols, which is far from reality, as you can see. Laguz runes, upper, the second from left, in the upper part, two intersecting Laguz runes. And we have again another variation of Otala with Inguaz in the upper extreme left of the image. Quite phenomenal. This cannot... I now present to you guys a few examples, okay? But there are like hundreds of examples like this. I believe thousands even. From engravings, from clothing, especially from clothing. We have on the Romanian clothing entire tales put on the clothing in a symbolic manner. Hello? So we have here a key, an important key. And for the Romanians looking at this video right now, you must understand, guys, we are very close to reconnect with the ancestral runic backgrounds of spiritual nature. I have done extensive spiritual work on this for a lot of time, with ups and downs, with ons and offs, because it's not easy to reconnect with a culture that doesn't have anything put in writing. But there are the rituals. The original rituals are still alive through the Călușari, and they don't even know it, man. The Nordic people, yes, have the poems of Edda, the heroic poems, the divine poems. Thumbs up. Great inspiration. I love them. Still they are corrupted with Christian influences. Even the Călușari rituals are corrupted with Christian influences, of course, or changed. So yes, guys, this is it. This is the video. I hope you found it interesting enough for you. And food for thought, right? I will be sharing more. If there is interest, especially from my brethren, from my Romanian brethren, if there is interest for such things, if you want to learn how things go regarding certain practices of more occult nature with a Romanian or pre-Christian Dacian type of approach, which is not New Age bullshit, which is based on actual research and actual findings, don't be shy. Try to contact me or connect with me in a certain way, because I have a lot to share, and of course I'm a very giving person. You cannot share all the knowledge in public for free to everyone, because not everyone really deserves stuff. But look at this, guys. For example, one more thing before I go. the upper right, the magical function of the upper, no, of the lower right of this eye, this triangle in the in the lower right, with the 12 spokes, the 12 zodiacal spokes, I like to call them. It is also a sign used for protection on Romanian clothing, and it's a sign to be aware of any evils. So yeah, very interesting, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hail to you, and see you next time. Share, like, and subscribe.